Boom.
Hello!
Hi.
Good morning. We're doing an early podcast today with a very special guest. Say hi to Whitney.
Hello, I'm Whitney. Hello.
Whitney Van Lammingham.
Yeah, it's a real long one.
It's a fun one, though.
It's a fun one.
It bounces around in your mouth when you say it.
Van
Lammingham.
Yeah. The best part is that my co-host on my show Nerdwire, her name is Chris Carr, and we literally have been friends for 2 years and just realized that I'm a van and she's a car.
Oh, snap.
We've been friends for 2 years and I never understood that.
Yeah, you just need to bring in Tanya Truck and you'll be good to go.
Oh, and then we'll be so good. Yeah. 100%. Just get that Hot Wheels deal.
Exactly.
Just get that
Ready
Hot
to
Wheels
go.
money.
You guys ever watched when they turn like, an Avengers movie comes out, check out the Hulk car, and it's like just his face stretched out on like a sedan.
Yep.
And you're like, that's really fucking lazy.
That's
I mean,
really
if they can do
bad.
that, there's no reason for them not to make a Van Lammingham van.
A Van Lammingham.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or a Chris car.
Or a Chris Carr. Well, we thought, we pitched to our producer, we were like, let us do a show called, she can do a car crash course. And then when I co-host, Van Crash.
That's cool.
They told us no. They said absolutely fucking not.
No.
Oh shit, sorry. Am I allowed to swear on
Yeah.
this?
You're actually asked to swear more.
Okay,
than you
fuck yes,
normally
thank
do.
you. No,
Fuck
that's great.
Yeah.
Fuck
All right.
yes.
I got the Discord open. We got some comments. Let's go ahead and do it.
3, 2.
Hello. It's Monday. Wake up. Get that crap out of your eyes. Take a deep breath, drink some water, then drink some coffee, then go to the bathroom, and then come back to your favorite podcast, Only Stupid Answers, hosted by your pal Sam and your other pal, DJ Waldridge.
That's me.
That's him.
That's who I am.
And guess what? We have a third pal today.
What?
Hello, everyone. Take a bow for Miss Whitney Van Lammingham. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here.
We're
This is
happy
great.
you're here. We met like a month back, 2 months.
Yeah.
I
don't know. So this summer has gone by so fast,
Yep.
honestly. I blinked.
Agreed.
I blinked and it was Comic-Con, and then Comic-Con was over, and now I'm here.
Comic-Con was 7 months ago,
don't
if I
know how
remember
to-
correctly.
Yeah.
I don't know
Timing's
how
right.
that's real.
So for the people who don't know, Whitney, what kind of stuff do you do on the internet?
So I am the internet, as a matter of fact.
As an embodiment.
I'm the whole internet. There's just like this little cord that they plug into the back of my brain, and it just downloads everything you could ever need to know about Law and Order SVU and American Girl dolls.
Whoa.
And
Perfect.
so
Those are the two Venn diagrams of the
just
internet.
like the Venn diagram.
Everything else is in between
everything
those.
else is in between those two things. That's why people, invented me, the internet. So I work for
Al Gore invented you.
Al Gore invented
Al Gore
me.
That's your
invented you.
dad.
Yeah.
That's my dad.
Yeah.
That's my papa. He's a proud papa.
Yeah.
Papa Gore. No, I work for a show called Nerdwire. It's on the YouTube. We have a podcast also that's called Nerdflix and Chill. And guess what, motherfuckers? Sam is gonna be on that in a couple of weeks. We're really
Yay.
excited.
I'm coming on to talk cartoons.
Yeah, he's gonna talk about cartoons.
That's right. Today we're going to be talking about cartoons.
Yeah. It's a dry run.
Yeah, we're testing it
Yeah,
out,
this
making
is
sure.
just, I'm just making sure, if Sam fucks this up, though, I'm not having him on my show.
It's
so
fair.
no pressure.
It's
but
fair.
It felt fair for me to warn you before I come on. Like, you get a good feel of me here.
Like, hey, listen,
and then you
I'm
can
just going to
see.
have you come on my podcast first because I know I'm going to fuck this
Yeah,
up.
just so it's a dry run. Like you said, it's a good.
You
it's
got to
good.
try it out. You got to try it out first.
And you know what? If you're trying out this podcast for the first time, welcome. And if you're a repeat visitor, sorry. Hope you're having a good end of summer. It's back to school sale, and we hope that
Wait, when
Only
does
Stupid
school
Answers
start back up?
Dude,
in like
school
a week.
already started.
Oop.
Dude, already started.
Well, I hope if
who?
For
children.
Apparently, everyone on my news feed who
Yeah.
has small children, and they're all posting their first day of school.
My
Lame.
nephews are there right now.
Lame.
Yeah, what are they doing there?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you?
Gross.
4th grade? What are you doing? Learning
That
math?
explains why all the buses were out when I was walking my dog this morning.
There you go.
I live next door to a school,
Same.
so it is hell to get out. If you have anywhere to be at 8 a.m., no, you don't.
That's your problem.
Not gonna
Guess those
happen.
kids get a precedence. But hey, if you're packing your kids' lunch, make sure you pack in an episode of Only Stupid Answers fresh every Monday. And we talk about movies, TV shows,
Yes.
comic books. Oh, we got the timing wrong. Let me try again. Ready? Movies,
Yes.
TV shows,
Yes.
comic books,
Uh-huh.
video games.
That's the one.
And cartoons
Yep.
today. We're talking about the history of cartoons, favorite cartoons, the ones that got away, the ones that you should have paid more attention to, the ones you should have respected. That now that you do respect them, too little, too late.
Too
Maybe
fucking
It's
bad, dude.
Too fucking bad.
Listen, Grandpa's racist and he's at the DMV.
He
Spike
is.
is fat.
Spike's
Rugrats is over.
They all grew up and they're all dead now.
They all grew up and
that's
everyone's
your
dead.
fault.
It's your problem. You didn't pay enough
That's
respect.
your goddamn fault. Chalk zone.
Hold on.
So,
Hold on.
Danny Phantom.
Hold on. You know
Your
what's,
fault.
You know what's crazy is that they're not all grown up though. They were what, in middle school?
Yeah,
They still had plenty of growing to do.
they sure did.
We don't know what happened to them.
They were barely into puberty.
dead in our minds.
I did like that. I was it one of the main artists responded to, because there was a lot of fan art of what they would look like as adults, and he was like, "No, they're all way too pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to look. They need to look more lumpy. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
There was a
Make
thing.
me a lumpy middle schooler. I don't want a hot middle schooler.
Yeah,
Gross.
No, yuck.
Gross.
I wasn't.
No, but this wasn't even in them
Ew.
as middle school. It was them, because like fan art of them as adults, like
Oh, I
past
saw
all grown
that.
up, and the
Oh,
artist was like,
yeah.
no, they wouldn't. They look all too happy and successful. No.
think
Like
Chucky
the
had, like, a
hipster
man
one,
bun.
yeah,
Yeah.
where Chucky has the fucking man bun.
Yeah.
That one's the best.
Yeah, he. No, I saw this week someone posted like, "Oh, all your favorite Nicktoons are in their 30s now." It's like, no,
they're not.
They
Yeah.
were babies
No, they're
when
not.
we were
When
babies.
we were babies.
Yeah.
We're getting close, but we're not 30 yet. So calm down. They show. Was it Donnie?
you might not be.
Who's Donnie from Wild Thornberries? He's the
Yeah.
boy that doesn't
Oh,
speak.
yeah,
They like
yeah.
drew him as like a hipster like fuck boy, like
Oh
hanging
yeah,
out
like
in
playing
Venice.
basketball with,
Oh.
with Jared from Jared from Harold.
Gerald.
Gerald. Yeah, why did I say
was
Jared?
like,
Yeah, Gerald from Harold. I was like getting the Jer part right. I
It's
was
pretty
halfway
close.
there.
Yeah.
I was there with the Jer.
By the way, Hey Arnold still holds up pretty well.
Dude, Harold is a very good show.
It's a very good
I
show.
really enjoy that show.
We're gonna get into all the good ones
We are.
and the bad ones because we definitely watched those as a kid.
There's
We
some
did.
And
bad
the
ones.
ugly ones.
And the ugly
Oh,
ones.
the
Our
ugly
monsters.
ones.
That one's scary.
But
as a
ugly
kid.
Martians.
Yeah, I watched that one.
That one's
a weird
gross.
one.
Prometheus and Bob, another gross one. Kablam, pretty gross.
Oh,
Who's the melting-
Kablam was pretty gross. I liked Prometheus and Bob. I thought Prometheus and Bob was pretty funny.
It was
was-
gross.
it was very
I did like it though. The Kablam was a good one. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we're into this week.
Yeah.
We're not the musicians here.
No,
are we?
no,
We
no,
tried
no.
our best.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, we're going to talk about movies, TV shows, whatever that we want to talk about, or events that have happened in our lives. DJ,
Yes.
what are you into this week?
So I just finally finished The Boys, first season of The Boys on Amazon Prime. I enjoyed it. I will say, I wish it was like, it presented itself as like, oh, this is the edgiest superhero show you'll ever live. And it's not really. Like, there's
Compared
some-
to the other ones, though.
Yeah, but it's the same bit Deadpool did, where it's like, "Whoa, Daddy Deadpool said fuck." Oh no, it's like that's not really. Yeah, if I was 13, that'd be edgy, but like I'm a grown man, and that's not really like moving the needle for me at all. So
Dude, I don't know how it didn't move the needle for you to see the guy from Gossip Girl get Gilfinger fucked.
He
That
did.
was horrible. That was horrifying,
you know
and I
what
never
bothered me
want to
about
watch that again.
You know what
It
bothered me
bothered
about that
so
scene?
much.
It didn't make sense to me. Why didn't he? Because he's in,
Yeah, he
he's
could
in
totally
a
have-
position of power.
Right.
I know it's like a wish fulfillment thing, which is another part where it's like it's one. On the one hand, I have not read The Boys because when Garth Ennis doesn't have a leash, it's not really my jam.
Nope.
Right? So
I've been vocal that I think that
The comics are actually very different from the show.
yeah.
I hated it. I
And
immediately
so,
hated
on the
it.
one hand, the idea of saying, hey, maybe let's make this less misanthropic, I think is a benefit to the show. On the other hand, some of it's kind of a cop-out. Like, some of it's trying to hit that 4-quadrant accessible, make everybody vaguely likable. It's like, nah, cut that shit out,
Oh,
man.
dude,
Like,
I didn't
yeah.
like anyone. I don't know.
Like,
I can't
yeah,
relate to
cut
what you're
that,
saying at
like-
all. I hated every
Like, 'cause
character. I
can't
wanted
help
all
but
of them
wonder.
to die.
I can't help but like wonder like what it would have been like. It's like we give Billy Butcher a tragic backstory, which is complicated. It's not what it appears to be.
Right.
However, what if you didn't? What if he just wanted to kill Soups? And that's it. That's all. That was his entire motivation. What if like there's a moment where somebody tries to call out Starlight of like, hey, you're selfish. You're like, what if she was selfish?
Yeah,
what if bad
so
things
what?
happen to her? But she's also kind of a brat. But like, no, it's like, no, we got to make her likable. We got to make Huey likable. We got to go out of our way to make everything just more accessible. And I think it would have been interesting if you did something closer to Fight Club, or where you really not only challenged expectations, but then subverted your own challenges to those expectations. This idea of like everything Tyler Durden says to Ed Norton in that movie is true the things you own you, da da da. But he's also fascist, and it's also like, and so there's layers to it where this is the layers to this are like, what if superheroes said fuck and they were mean? Yeah, cool. But I wish it was as transgressive as it felt like it was, as opposed to like, we put something up somebody's butt. Cool. I mean, that said, I did like it. I think Anthony Starr as Homelander is really interesting, and I think he provides layers to his performance that isn't really there in the writing. And I overall enjoyed the show. I just feel like it could keep a little bit more of that edge. Just a little bit more of the edge.
They killed an entire plane full of people. How much edgier do you want to be?
Well, because it's not like, because think about this. The bit with Homelander essentially is he's Superman, but when he's outside the public eye, he says fuck and he doesn't like people. That's fine. I think what might be more interesting is what if he actually believed the hype? What if he was a stand-up guy? What if he wasn't raping and murdering people? But he's also manipulative. But he believes it. He's not being hypocritical. He's still being a fascist asshole, but he believes it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And this one, he has the face he puts on in front of everybody else, and then there's the real person, which is a little simplistic. And I think it might be more interesting if he bought into his own hype and he doesn't curse, he's nice to people, but yeah, maybe he does let a plane of people die, but it's not out of like the way he presents it. It's like there's really nothing I can. He believes his own story of like, I couldn't. What am I gonna do? That might be a little bit more layered and complicated and interesting. Like, what if the heroes actually were invested in saving people? But we're also, they're like, well, it's okay that I rape this person because I do save lives. You know what I mean? Whereas this one, they're just egocentric jerks, and it's all about the image, and it's just a little simplistic and a little. I feel like there's a little bit more room for a little bit more nuance and complication, because like even the boys aren't really that like. We're okay with them going after the Supes because the Supes are fucking flaming assholes. You know what I mean? Like, what if the boys were like, you guys aren't good dudes. You know what I mean? Like, I really invest in the idea that they're bad guys, that they are the bad guys, and it just so happens that the Supes are worse.
I fully get throughout the show that these are not good people. But they do good things, like how superheroes do good things.
But the way they're presented is in your traditional anti-hero fashion, and the show goes out of its way to, like, with Mother's Milk and his wife and kid, and Frenchie in his affection towards the girl that they save. They go out of their way to like make them likable. It's like, maybe don't. Maybe let them be unlikable. You know what I mean?
You want it to be a much more pessimistic show.
No, not pessimistic.
I hated everyone on the show, so I just like, this is such a fascinating take on it, because I thought everyone was unlikable. I hated all of them.
I give Starlight a little credit.
Starlight is the only person that's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, because even Huey, it's like, no, you hit the detonator and you kill people.
You fucking kill people. Yeah, you did it, dude. Like, and that's why I think Huey's an interesting character, because he's that guy. He's totally that fucking guy who's like, yeah, but it's okay because I'm still a good guy. I'm lying to my girlfriend. It's fine. Like, I'm still saving the world. I thought that was really interesting.
But like, spoilers for the show.
We've gone past that.
Oh yeah. If you haven't seen The Boys, guess what? Somebody gets finger gilled and it's disgusting.
When at the end, when A-Train's having his heart attack, they give Hugh that moment like, I need to save him, and he even has the speech to Starlight, like, you were supposed to be a superhero. Cut that shit out.
Fuck that.
Yeah, get rid of it.
I agree with that one.
It's like,
I agree with that one.
Because what it does is it's a cop out a little bit, and I get it, and it's a weird feeling because on the one hand,
wait, sorry, who's having what speech to who?
So in the last episode, that's
fine. He gives a speech to Starlight.
About like, hey, you wanted to save people, and you want to be, and it's this moment of like, for a show that ostensibly is supposed to hate superheroes. It's supposed to be like, you're supposed to be a superhero and you're supposed to save the day and you're supposed to whatever. And then when A-Train's having his heart attack, Huey decides to save him, which again, it's like, it just feels like a cop-out. On the one hand, as a viewer, I like it because you want your characters to do positive things. But on the other hand, fuck A-Train, you know what I mean? And I think it'd be more interesting to have the audience in the position of where like Huey's like, nah, fuck this guy, and he walks out, and you are then left with
that would be his second kill.
It would be a complicated feeling of but A-Train's a murderer.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is it leaves you, the show steps back from leaving you with complicated feelings about, or as complicated as it could be. And I don't think you need to be as misanthropic as Garth Ennis is. But on the other hand, I think there's room, within the same time I was watching The Boys, I also watched The Favorite. So it's actually really good. And I thought it was much more transgressive within its medium than The Boys is. I think it did more to deconstruct the type of period piece costume drama than something like Boys did, superhero stuff. It's more, it complicates stuff the same way Captain Marvel complicated its villain dynamic. It's like, what if the guys you thought were the bad guys were the good guys? Like, well, that's fine, but it's not as complex as it could have been. That's it. But but overall, I really enjoyed it. I like the way they ended it. Yeah, I did. I did. I just think there was a little bit room for a little bit more nuance in some of its characterization. But I thought Anthony Starr was great. Carl Urban, I love in everything.
Oh, dude, he's great.
Always and forever. And I liked the way they break down like where superpower people came from in this world and what that means to the governments. I do call it a little bit of bullshit that they also act in their own stuff. So it's like, wait, you're finding people that are actually good at acting too. A lot of complications in choosing you're the seven, because they're not actually saving people, but they're starring in their own movies and they're supposed to serve in the military. I'm like, too many things. Too many things. I call bullshit. Too many things. But overall, I enjoyed it.
I thought the world building in that show was great. Also, the best CG for a TV show.
Oh, for sure.
And besides like a Game of Thrones stuff,
but A-Train stuff, you're like,
but Game of Thrones last season.
Flash?
Why
does A-Train look so much cooler than the Flash on the Flash?
Like besides costume, I think his
costume's weak, but like every time he does super speed stuff, it's like, oh, fuck, that's cool.
Like the race was really impressive overall. I
really like the fight between him and I think it's Kamiko, the quote unquote the female. That fight was actually really cool.
Yeah, him smashing her head.
Favorite
thing. Yeah.
Favorite joke. I thought Anthony Starr was funny throughout the whole thing. I thought his performance was good, but my favorite joke is when he calls the meeting and he's like, "You all are fucking up, except you. What is it? Black Noir. Except you, Black Noir. You're doing great."
Yeah. I like Black Noir knew how to play piano.
Yeah.
I like that little show.
Yeah, same.
And it was also way better than I thought. Because the joke could be he goes and he's pretty good. Then he goes down and he's really good.
Yeah, he's just like amazing at piano.
I don't know about you, but it's like, I don't know what your deal. Like, because are you supposed to be Batman or do you have powers? Like, what's your deal?
That's
what I like, though.
I like it too.
I'm just this is great.
I got Batman vibes, but at the same time, it's like, we'll get to you eventually.
We'll get to you eventually. We'll figure you out.
We had Translucent. We had the Deep.
There's no 7 at this point.
Starlight.
Yeah, it's like not the 7 anymore because the Deep got moved, which I just thought was the greatest thing in the world because there's never obviously like a cut and dry solution, right, for what to do with those types of people because it's like, yes, he's trying to redeem himself. He did force a beach on someone.
Yeah.
That's not great. What do we fucking do with those people? Send him to work at a water park in Oklahoma. If we could just do that to like Weinstein, my life would be set. Let's just be like, hey, Harvey, we're really sorry, but unfortunately, you have to work at a water park in Oklahoma for the rest of your natural life.
I do like that the show did take the time to humanize the people like A-Train and in the Deep when he tries to save the dolphin and and all
that
that
was
stuff.
So funny.
I just wish the girl that killed him had powers too, to where he couldn't. Like, I just had trouble believing he'd let this happen.
That was like one of those things, though, too, where I think that they were trying to kind of, because like you were saying, they really were trying to make this accessible for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So they had to include that scene because if they were going to include all these scenes where like Starlight's getting BJ raped and Homelander's raping his wife and what the fuck ever. You do have to have a scene that shows that men are also vulnerable to attack, and I think that scene was kind of, sorry to make this super fucking serious all of a sudden, but I think that the purpose of that and the purpose of him like not fighting back was to give a voice to say, hey, men do get assaulted. Sometimes this does happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you freeze. Sometimes you fight or flight. It is a little bit less because he's a superhero, so you think, why don't you just kick her off? But
and
at the same time,
he's also used to getting what he wants when he wants, and
exactly.
so it's just like, where did all that go?
I totally get that for the character, obviously, it seems less believable that would be a thing because he's a super. Yeah. But I think that they had to kind of do that because otherwise it would just be a case of every fuckboy on the internet being like, but women are rapists too, and no women raped on this show, but
think
that's
that's a
not
good point.
realistic. Like, I think that they had to do that so that those people would just shut the fuck up.
Also, his gills are gross.
Also, gills are disgusting.
Not to
It
judge.
disturbed
not
me
to
so
judge.
much. It disturbed me so much.
Because he
I
had to
never
have
wanna-
it.
Yeah.
He had to have them, and the way they did it was original.
You know the one part that made me more squeamy than the fingers in the gills is when he's shaving around the gills. Like,
No, oh yeah, oh god, oh no, that fucked me up too. No, I can't.
No,
None,
props
none
to
of
the
none
world
of the gill
builders
stuff,
on this
please.
show.
No gill stuff.
No, overall, like I enjoyed the show for what it is, but at the same time, there are some moments in the show where it's like I don't know if I need to see superheroes like this. I like the thesis of it, of showing that, like, yeah, what if superheroes acted like professional athletes or like
Yeah,
Weinstein or
exactly.
like other people who can get away with things? Because, yeah, even when they propose in this series that, like, oh, we need them now. It's like, yeah, but what about before that? Like, what did you guys do for this? Why do you keep making these things? Because Homelander, you have no...
Who thought that was a good idea?
Who can do anything against him? Translucent, maybe? Like, maybe because he was technically indestructible.
Technically,
Except from inside of whatever. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I still don't know, because you pointed out they did mention the episode, but I still don't know, like, why didn't you drown him? Why didn't you
They
drown
did
Translucent?
mention it, and I
They
don't
did mention it,
remember
I don't
why.
remember. But yeah, I think that's part of why the scenes with Homelander are so interesting, because there's this, especially with Elizabeth Shue, who does great work on this on this show.
Gonna miss her.
But it's like, how do you every time Homelander's in a room, it's basically how do we coerce this person to not murdering everybody? Like, how do we just kind of like massage the situation to where he's just not
Where he's
gonna
not
kill
gonna
all
murder.
of us? Yeah.
Light manipulation from Elizabeth Shue. She is... I haven't seen her in something in a minute, and she's...
sometimes you just
she's
gotta be a
killer.
mommy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta mommy the shit out of someone who could murder you.
The other really good thing about the show is
Speaking of the last episode, it's pretty rough.
Oh no.
Yeah.
bringing that up though, I really like the pacing of the show. The
I
show did
do
a really
too.
good job of like not doing the whole like.
Oh god, how refreshing is it after every fucking Netflix series to
Yeah,
watch
where it's
something
like,
like that where the pacing is actually
things
good.
are happening, and by the
Yes.
time by the time they're doing the reveal of the supers, I was like, oh, Homelander has mom issues. The show was already on top of it and showing like, yeah, he has mom issues. Like, great, good. I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't, even though I had my issues with it, I enjoyed it so much because the pacing was on point. It's Eric Kripke,
Yes,
who I think
Kripke
was
is
from
fucking great.
Supernatural,
Supernatural fame, yeah.
and there's a reason that show's been on there forever and ever. So, good job with the pacing on that show and casting, of course.
Yeah,
Casting's
from
great.
top to tail, that show is very well done. Season 2 is gonna come out probably next year, but I didn't really rush to watch this one. I ended up finishing quickly because of the pacing, because of the world building. But I am excited to see what they do moving forward.
Especially since they basically nuked their prime. Like, there's essentially no 7 anymore. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude,
Like,
there's
there's no
yeah.
like. I don't know what you do.
But you do now. They have to. The military needs them now.
Because now they have this fucking like
And
crazy
Carl
guy.
Urban, well, we don't. He's screwed.
Dude.
His entire reasoning that we know of for going after these
is
supers.
completely gone.
Also,
because
I'm
also we still don't know, because like, it was still unclear to me. What's you guys' opinion? I feel like the wife wasn't raped.
Yeah.
Getting
And
that
that's
vibe.
how I feel. And my boyfriend has a completely different opinion. Every time I talk to him, he's like, no, like definitely not. But like, I think it's more interesting if she wasn't. And I think it's
Yeah.
more interesting for his character if he's been doing all this shit to avenge his wife because he has her on this pedestal in his mind as this perfect thing that made him so happy and so wonderful.
Yeah.
And what if like she's just a slut who fucked up? You
it's
know,
not
like
even-
what if
it's
she just
not
made a
even
fucking
a-
mistake and she got pregnant and oh shit, she's just a bitch. That sucks.
Yeah, and I mean,
Like-
it's not even necessarily her being a bitch, but it's like we see in the flashback she's a fangirl.
Well, she's a person,
and
you
so
know,
like
obviously.
and Anthony Starr's a handsome boy.
Exaggerated.
We get what you're
I
saying,
know she's
but
a
yeah,
human person.
yeah.
Yes.
But I agree with
also
you
lied
because-
to her husband and then ran off and like
Yeah.
Yeah,
But she's
because
bad stuff.
But yeah, obviously she's a flawed human being. We all are. I get it. But
Yeah,
like, I think that's more interesting.
I agree, and I think in the flashback we see she's a fangirl, and then the video that Billy sees that motivates him, it's like, oof, that's inconclusive.
That's very
Yeah.
inconclusive, and especially because it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then she walks out.
And
I'm
also,
kind
we
of thinking-
have seen that Homelander is not
Homelander's-
necessarily the
He's not
he's
like
not
a
longest
gentle
lasting.
lover.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think he's like a gentle kind of guy.
Yeah, that scene with Elizabeth Shue took like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, so I don't, but I agree with you. I don't think she was, and I do kind of like this weird blended family situation
Yeah.
that they're gonna have
Where
to
it's
like
just
deal
like, and now Homelander's just like, well, we're father-in-laws again. Like,
Yeah.
what's that? Like, I'm the dad and you're the stepdad. What? Cool.
with. Also,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure Billy blew up that baby.
Oh, 100%. Oh,
I
that's
think
Billy's
Billy's
dead.
the baby.
I
Billy
think
did
the
not-
baby
yeah.
maybe made it. I mean,
I-
it
Maybe
would
because
be
of powers. It
maybe,
had to have powers.
It had to have had powers,
Maybe.
but he
Yeah.
also blew up a baby.
Maybe. Hey, maybe.
Listen,
he
Harry
hated that
Potter
baby
survived,
more
so
than-
anything is possible,
He,
I guess.
he clearly hated that baby more than he hated Carl Urban's character.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah,
he's-
Homelander.
He saved Carl
that
Urban.
baby's
He's not
so-
going to save the baby.
I did like every little tantrum he had about the baby getting too much attention.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I
Jesus,
loved
dude.
that too.
And his tantrum, like you said, mommy issues. His tantrum about like the little blanket being on the
Yes.
bed. It was You're right, Anthony Starr.
Anthony Starr. He was
yeah.
from Banshee, and he's very good in that show. But I think his performance just is really. I was really compelled by him throughout.
And
the
Starlight's
show.
performance from
Starlight's
season 1 of Jessica
performance is
Jones.
great, yeah. Oh, and I loved her in Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
That's pretty
talented
good.
cast. Really talented cast.
But Whitney, what are you into this week?
What am I into? Oh my gosh.
Went on a bit of a
No.
tangent, but yeah.
Ah, jeez.
I
Well,
derailed everybody with the
my-
boys. Sorry.
No, it's okay. My biggest problem always, and I don't know if you guys have this problem because you're also the internet, but I have the hardest time finding free time to watch shows on my own that I actually like that are not being assigned to me.
Yeah.
So I saw The Boys, had a great time watching it, but was I on the clock? I sure was.
Yep.
You know, so I had to take notes and do everything. So gosh, I don't know, man. My brain is so fried right now. I just spent the past week reading every issue of Invader Zim,
Nice.
as I've told you.
Yeah.
The weekend before that, I went to Waco, Texas, visited Joanna Land, and we stayed in a haunted house, which was pretty cool.
Very cool. Did you
So-
have any haunted experiences?
I didn't actually, but my boyfriend did. So this actually happened. We go to my friend's house, and my friends are renovating homes as well. They are not Chip and Joanna Gaines. They are just
Do they
regular
know
ass
them?
people. Are they
Are they
best friends?
friends?
Could we get an autograph?
Do we have a connect to
Do we
Chip?
have a connected Chip Gaines? Oh no!
I want to know what his favorite show is.
I want to know what cartoons does he watch with his 1,700 fucking children?
Yeah.
And counting.
And
Okay,
counting.
yeah.
Exactly. So this house that we were staying in, basically, it's like this old Victorian home that they're renovating, and it's really beautiful. And so it was about halfway through renovated when we went to go stay with them for the weekend.
Yeah.
And when we pull up outside, the yard is completely bare, except for this one red flower just growing out of nothing in the dirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's that flower, guys? And my friend's husband was like, oh, actually, we looked it up. It's the Japanese death flower.
Cool.
And it only blooms when spirits are near. And we were like, tight. Tight. Cool. So anyways, where am I sleeping? Upstairs? Are you going to be there? Can I sleep with you guys?
Yeah.
And so, I didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't very haunted, but because I was in this wedding, I spent a lot of time doing dumb bridesmaid stuff while my boyfriend hung out with my friend's husband.
Yeah.
And so apparently, Aaron, my friend's husband, takes my boyfriend into the backyard,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What do you think that is?" And there's just this huge, random, pile of concrete. It looks like someone just dug a hole and sloppily poured a bunch of concrete on it, and then went, "Well, that'll do."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I don't know, is it a grave?" And Aaron goes, "Yeah, that's a grave." We found out that that's definitely, it's an unmarked grave. We don't know who's buried there, but we looked at the property history and we found out that they did bury someone. We just don't have records of
This
who.
is an Airbnb.
And this is my friend's house that they are building and that they live in right now. And so,
I might get the body moved.
no, there's just a body in the backyard.
I might get the
It's
body.
not
You
a
can get
big
trees
deal.
removed. You can get bodies
Yeah,
removed.
yeah.
Totally. But it's under all this cement, it someone was trying to trap it down there.
Yeah.
That's what's the creepy part is yeah, you can bury someone, but why would you pour 10 tons of concrete? It's just this ugly fucking lump of concrete, and you're like, what's
Yeah.
that? Ah, it's just a dead guy in our backyard, no bigs.
Yeah.
And so we also at the house there's this cat named Bob, and Bob
Is
moved.
dead.
No,
Okay.
Bob moved in with the house. So when
Okay.
Katie and Aaron first started working there, they just noticed that this cat would keep coming by, and this
Yeah.
cat just never left. And so now it's their cat, Bob. And Bob would sleep in the room that my boyfriend and I were in every single night, and we were like, "Oh, that's so sweet. Bob likes us. This is great." It turns out that Katie and Aaron believe that Bob is a puka, and a puka is a Welsh spiriter that spirits away bad ghosts and bad demons. So a puka is like a protector, but it itself is also a demon spirit, but it keeps you from the worst ones.
Gotcha.
So if the puka likes you, you're good.
Yeah.
So we were sleeping in bed with this puka,
Yeah.
and apparently one night I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and because the house is still unfinished, some of the walls aren't straight yet because they're like rebuilding everything. And so they've kind of, just in order to like give you a room, they kind of just slapped some stuff and they were like, stay in here. We're going to fix the walls later. So all the walls are technically like slanted and like just like a little off kilter.
Cool.
It's
It's
DIY.
like a Tim Burton house.
Yeah, it's like a Tim Burton like
yeah.
DIY house.
Yeah.
And so when you open the door, I totally forgot because it was in the middle of the night. I just had to pee. And so when you open the door, it doesn't stay closed unless you lock it from the inside. So the door will just fucking swing wide open for no reason. So I closed the door and then like 30 seconds later, my boyfriend said that the door just swings open. And Bob had left the room to go to the bathroom with me. And my boyfriend said that he literally felt just a gust of something come in. And he said he felt like a spirit or a ghost hovering right over his face. And he was too scared to fucking tell me. So I come back to bed with the cat, and he was like, oh, thank God you're back. Okay, snuggle, snuggle, snuggle. And I was like, well, he's affectionate tonight. So I found out the reason why we didn't fuck the entire weekend. We went to a wedding. Come on. There was love in the air. I wanted to get a little, and my boyfriend was too scared to fuck me because he didn't want to have sex with me in front of a ghost. Which he didn't tell me until we got home.
He'll report back to the devil.
I know.
That's how they keep track of your sins.
That's
You
how
think
they
angels keep track of
sins.
that? No. He reports back to Santa.
To Santa Satan.
Yeah.
Bob was just going to tell on us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's...
Puka was talking to somebody.
Puka
Wait,
was
sorry,
communicating.
Bob's the name. He is a Puka.
He is a puka.
What breed is that?
I don't know. Breed a cat, I guess, now.
There you go.
The spirit warding off cat.
I went to Portland this weekend.
What ghost did you run into?
about
Very
Portland. Were you
very few
haunted?
pukas in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Maybe the homeowners association keeps them out. No, I had a great
Portland,
time.
that's ripe for cats.
I know, right?
That's like where the cat people go to die.
They-
That's your ultimate retirement.
Dog people have moved in now. I don't see as many cats.
There's dog people in Portland.
There's so many. It's like a dog to every two people. So there's a lot. But I had a great time. It was like a little early B-date thing for me and my girlfriend and I went and did. We had a blast. And a friend of mine was doing a Spartan race up in Washington, so came down and met with us. And like we went and got blasted, and then we went to a place called Ground Control, which is like a really fun barcade, and they had just set up a big rock band thing. Like it was huge. And we did Welcome to the Black Parade, and Jesus Christ, you know what's really hard to do after like a couple beers is anything musical. That was super I was trying to do the drums, and like so the sound wasn't, they didn't give us the headphones to do it with the sound, so we were doing it with the speakers, so like everything was off. And my friend was like lost his voice from when he was doing the race, so he was just like screaming into the microphone. No one was happy. We left after. Anyways, great trip. Want to live there. Looked at any of the rent prices there, and compared to LA, it made me really sad. Like even buying a house there is really cheap.
No.
My brother and his girlfriend just moved to Portland for that reason. Because
It's so
everything
nice.
is so cheap. And Elliot, my brother, he's like, oh yeah, I think I'm just like gonna go back to school because guess what? Now that I'm a resident, in-state tuition is free. So now he's just fucking going back to college for funsies because he moved to Portland and you can.
Yeah.
But they have a cat. They've got a big old, I don't call him by his real name. But I just call him the chunk because he's real big and chunky.
Nice. It's a good chunk, like
He's a good little
Garfield.
chunk.
Speaking of Garfield, one, I'm sorry, John, the subreddit is a goddamn nightmare, but it's really fun to go. That's a fun rabbit hole to go down. Also, cartoons. There you go.
Woohoo!
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and hop into it. We reached out to our Discord to ask, like, what are the best cartoons out there? What are the ones that, like, you'll watch until you die? And also, what are the ones we're sleeping on? Whitney, growing up in your Whitney house.
In my little Whitney house.
What were the cartoons that you would revisit most often? What were your networks that you'd go to? Because I was Nickelodeon
I was
household.
full Nickelodeon household.
And
Hard,
don't you dare turn on the
line.
Disney Channel. Don't.
Hard Nickelodeon.
So what were your go-tos?
So I was a very big Rugrats fan, and every single night at 8 p.m. when I would get home, because I was like, when I was a little kid, I would stay at my grandma's house during the day because my parents both worked, and this was before preschool, obviously. But I would stay home, or I would go to preschool or whatever, and then my parents would come pick me up, and I'd go home from my grandma's house. And so we would get home right at 8, and I would rush to the phone, and I'd be like, Moy, it's on, tape it. And she would tape every episode of Rugrats for me.
Nice.
So unfortunately, my grandma passed away about a year ago.
I'm sorry.
But in her house, when I went to go look, I found hundreds of VHSs with just the same episodes of Rugrats over and over again on all of them. Like, I played a couple because she still had a VHS player, obviously, that I stole along with the 100. They're now all in my closet. If you ever come over to my house, I'll just show you my shame closet, which is like all my dead grandparents' stuff, but it's all VHS.
Can I rent one?
Yes.
Can I borrow? Okay,
you can absolutely rent one of my grandma VHSs that has the same episode of Rugrats on it 3 times.
I want all the
that's
commercials,
how Nickelodeon
too.
works. Dude, same. We have all the commercials on them.
Yeah.
That's the best part. But yeah, I was a Rugrats freak when I was a kid. It was my favorite of all time. And then when I got older and more angsty and way more depressed as a 4th grader, I got so into Invader Zim.
Oh, nice. I'm going to say it's told by Ginger.
Oh, dude, that's told by Ginger. Yes.
Shout out. Cheers.
Dude, such a great show.
That was a weird one.
Such a good show. So much better than Brace Face on Disney Channel, am I right? Fuck that. Fuck off, Disney.
We're now out of we've officially left my wheelhouse. I don't even know what we're talking about
As
anymore.
told by Ginger.
Like Rugrats, As told by Ginger.
Courtney had boobs
maybe?
before Ginger did, but it turned out she was stuffing.
No! She lied to her best friend,
She
Ginger.
lied about
nothing.
boobs.
Yeah, I got
You
nothing.
can't do that.
You can't do that.
And then Darren gets his retainer off and they make out at summer camp. Dude, do you remember
How
the song?
old were they on that show?
Dude, they were like 13. I don't know, like 12 or 13.
It's
I
that
think.
nebulous, like, probably teenagers.
Yeah, like, they might be
It's
teenagers.
like if one of them showed up and they're like, "Oh, I'm 20," like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Well, Darren looked so hot when he got his brace thing off. He like
Yeah,
morphed into
man.
literally the biggest hottie in the world, and it's like, damn.
I'll be the judge of that.
No, look it up.
I'll pull it up.
Darren without headgear.
Darren without
Headgear, as told by Ginger.
gear. I had a friend who had headgear in
I had
elementary
headgear.
school. Yeah?
I had
How was
full
that?
on purple headgear. My mom used to call me the puppet because I had to have rubber bands that hooked onto my mouth so that when I talked, it was like, it was like I was actually a fucking puppet.
Jeez.
And that
Oh,
was why I didn't get
Darren.
invited to sleepovers when I was little because I had headgear and nobody wanted
So
the headgear girl.
That's with headgear.
That's
Yeah.
with headgear.
And that's the full thing. Boom.
Without headgear,
You know,
so much hotter.
That I will say so much hotter.
So much hotter comparatively to
Comparatively,
the
yeah.
headgear.
Animation style is similar to Rugrats.
Yes.
Lumpy,
bit.
lumpy
Little
boys
bit.
and girls.
Lumpy.
Um,
A lot of no
So-
definitive edges to anyone.
Why would you have edges?
I also
Tell me
watched
them.
Rugrats when I was younger. I was
Good.
OG Nicktoon. So Rugrats, Doug. There was other ones. Dude, I did. Harold was like the top of the. It was like that was just when I was starting to age out. Real Monsters. For me, it was a lot of like Fox Kids. I think
Fox?
Yeah, because you had the X-Men
You
cartoons.
strayed far.
Yeah,
You strayed far from the beaten
because
path.
you got the X-Men cartoons.
Yes.
You got the Spider-Man cartoon.
Yes.
You got Batman the animated series.
We sure do.
Big fan of, like, when I was a little kid, the original Transformers, but when I got a little bit older, Beast Wars was really solid.
Beast Wars is one I heard that I've slept on because I haven't seen Beast Wars.
Yeah,
and everyone tells me
I never
it's
saw
so
it,
good.
and
up.
he sold me on it.
Yeah,
Dude,
so-
everyone
straight up
told me I have to watch
because
it.
it's one of the first CG animated shows. That aspect has not aged great.
Oh, really?
CG
I was gonna say, oh, that's neat,
But the
but no.
storytelling was really, because here's the thing, because it was originally like the old Transformers cartoon, it was like, oh, here's 20 Transformers and they're all going to town. The original, or the Beast Wars, because it was CG animated, they had to be selective. So it's like there's 5 guys on each team.
Ooh,
That's
hey.
it. But it got the plot lines were more mature. I think they learned a lot from Batman the animated series because that taught a lot of like action cartoons that like, hey, you can have a little bit more continuity, a little bit more seriousness, like still accessible to young audiences, but like character, especially since they're robots. They lose limbs, they'll die, they'll whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so for me, growing up, if it didn't have somebody punching somebody else or something blowing up, it wasn't for me.
Listen,
So like, no,
just
Mr.
based on your description of the boys,
Yeah.
I 100% believe you when you tell me that you were just like this when you were little too.
So
So
no
you've
Mr.
always been this way.
No Mr. Rogers, no Sesame Street, no Barney. None of that stuff.
None
but
of
I
that
did.
feel good bullshit.
Yeah, no, I
None
just
of
didn't.
none of that feel good stuff like getting gill raped, you know?
Yeah,
None of that feel
yeah.
good. I want it grittier. I want it darker.
And then of course Ninja Turtles, the OG
yes.
Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
Which
was
one's
the big
OG
one as a
for
kid.
you? What is that?
Yeah,
one?
which
That's
one
the
is
original,
yours?
the original cartoon. The original.
Just the straight up?
I'm willing to bet that I'm older than both of you. Yeah, and
Let's
so
see. We're only going to base it off of cartoon knowledge, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the original Ninja Turtles cartoon, where you talk about sanding the edge off. That's a prime example.
Have you seen any of the new Ninja Turtle series?
I did check out because it's like every few
Oh, you
years.
literally mean like
Yeah.
the
Yeah, like the guys,
original.
the
like the
original.
boys.
The one I had all the T-shirts of this.
Yes.
I just didn't know what
I
it
had
was.
the toys. My parents would not let me get the ones with the ooze because they knew I'd get in the carpet, and I so would have.
I would have happily just
I went to
dumped it on
Target
the
a few years
carpet.
ago and I got myself a pair of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle undies in like a size XL from the kids section because
Yeah.
they were so cool.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
such
yeah,
cool
yeah.
undies. They're purple tie-dye and then it has like the OG Ninja Turtles on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm getting a child's XL because those are great.
Happening. This
I
is
need
happening.
those.
But I did. They did a revamp. I think in the early 2000s that I checked out.
Yes.
They did a crossover episode with the original Turtles.
Yes.
I watched that, of course, and they even brought
The
out the
reason
black and white
I'm
comic
bringing it
ones.
up, yes, is because I had to watch that show for work.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to watch 2014 Ninja Turtles. This is so dumb. They have a character on the show called Pug Taro,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a low pug. And his nickname is Small Fry, which
Yeah.
happens to be what I also call my baby pug.
Nice.
And I was like, holy shit, this is actually
you-
written for me. And the pug just wants to eat snacks all day.
Boom.
And they're still very pizza centric.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've like found a new respect for the 2014 Ninja Turtles. I was like, fuck yeah.
Is this the CG animated one? Because I also
Or
watched
one right
some of
before
that.
that.
Because there's
It's the 2014. I don't remember.
okay, yeah. Because then there's the CG animated one that
Sorry,
I
I
caught a little
watched
bit
so
of.
many. I've watched
Yeah.
every version of Ninja Turtles for work.
There's so many, and then
I'm just
there's
remembering
even
the Pug Taro one.
there's even a brand new one that they just came out with.
Ben Schwartz, I know, does the voice of Leo on it, and I saw
Oh,
some of
that's cool.
the animation, the rendering of it, and it's beautiful. But
Yeah.
I'm like, it's one of those ones where it's
And
like,
people were freaking out because it's like the weapons are wrong, and they're like, "Calm down, man. Give it a few years, and they'll
Yeah.
revamp it again, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Calm down."
you won't
They
remember
redo
this.
the Ninja Turtles every
Yeah,
5
it's-
fucking minutes.
the only one that's worse is Power Rangers. Like every season's a whole new
God.
jam. So it's like just wait a couple years. And by the way, why are you yelling about this show that you're clearly not the demographic for anymore? Were you watching the last?
Hey, don't
series
call
of
that
Ninja Turtles?
don't call that out too much because that's some of our audience.
No,
Don't
that,
find
that
out.
is
Oh, be
100%
careful.
my audience.
Yeah.
So just
be careful. We'll bark
people
up their
who are
own
really mad about this. Yeah.
For me,
Those are my people.
growing up, I'd say I liked Fox Kids. WB Kids also need to give a shout out.
Oh,
because
dude,
they had some good
WB,
ones.
hell yes. Do you remember
Pokemon
the
was on
WB
there.
store?
Where wait?
Oh yeah.
The
But they
WB
tried to
that
do
had
their own
the big
Disney
ass-
store.
Yes, where they had like the big ass gremlin when you
Yeah.
walked in and you were like, "Fuck, I'm gonna get murdered by Stripe."
Yeah,
Is this
yeah,
at
yeah.
malls? Where was this one?
This was in malls.
was-
Yeah, it was
yeah,
in
it was-
malls.
it was in
like
malls,
it was
yeah.
like the Disney store, and it was like cooler than the
Way
Disney
cooler
store
than the
because
Disney store.
But it's also like, why is this here? You know what I mean? Like, who
It
is
was
this
great.
for?
It was
Yeah.
literally just like, it was a store that was just like, hey kids, do you like the Animaniacs? Would you also like to be terrified by a lifelike gremlin and gargoyles who can fucking get you? Like, they had everything in there. It was insane.
Animaniacs Gargoyles is a good pull.
Gargoyles is a
Pinky
good
and the
one.
Brain. Pinky and the Brain is great.
There you
the
go.
brain's great.
But yeah, so watching the Pokemon was my jam as a kid.
Oh, yep.
Of course.
Yeah.
First one, I got maybe to Pokemon Johto mainly because we looked at the theme song and I was like, that's way burned into my brain.
Yeah.
So as I'm dying, that's gonna slip out of my mouth as I'm going off into hell or whatever.
Yeah.
Then Nickelodeon though was the go-to. Cartoon Network had a few good ones, mainly because it had like the older cartoons, and as a kid,
Yeah.
like that was fun. I was like, I like Looney Tunes as a kid. That
Yeah.
was
Dude, I've
was
never
pretty
met
solid.
somebody else who isn't that into Cartoon Network. I always feel like I'm the only person who's like, yeah, Cartoon Network was good, but it wasn't Nickelodeon, you know?
Like everyone's seen Scooby Doo. Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
everybody has seen it. Like it's just there. Sonny and Cher came on, and as a kid, I was like, I don't.
Tight.
Oh, the Harlem Globetrotters.
Whoa.
Oh, again. Cool. I mean, they're doing all their whistling and the ball tricks. Like this is cool. As I got older, I figured out what that was, and that was fun. Anyways,
I will
Nickelodeon was
say,
what I went
for,
to.
For Cartoon Network, though, Dexter's Lab was gold. Johnny Bravo, gold.
I I never watched those shows.
I watched Dexter's
I'm gonna
Lab.
admit it.
You missed out on
I'm
Dexter's
gonna
Lab.
admit it. I didn't watch Cow and Chicken. Didn't watch Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Cow and Chicken was too. Cow and Chicken
Chicken.
fell into the Ren and Stimpy category. It's like, this makes me feel gross.
Oh,
So
dude, I
didn't
loved Ren
watch
and
it.
Stimpy so much, though. I was a gross kid. I wanted to pick my nose. I was picking my nose way longer than any human should.
Proudly.
Proudly picking my
Proudly.
nose,
No.
examining each booger with intent, and then eating it. Dude, I was that kid. I was so down for Ren and Stimpy.
We need those kids. They're
We
the
need them.
backbone of our public school system.
They really are.
They hold it up.
hold it up.
But Ren and Stimpy for me, that was something I was scared of.
Yes.
But my older brother got like weird burned versions of them from like Little Tokyo, and he'd
hell
bring them back,
yeah.
and like we'd watch them, and like it was all garb. Like I think if you put it into your like VHS player, it would just break it. But like we would still like watch them, and I'd always be scared of it. But for me, it was always, hey Arnold, you got your Doug. Because Doug, I was like, man, that guy's got fashion.
Dude, Doug is
Sweater
literally
vests.
the reason why, I'm not even kidding, Doug is the reason why I think it's perfectly okay that if you find an outfit that you really like, I don't know, maybe buy 9 of them, and then you don't have to fucking worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
I have 9 pairs of the same jeans. I've been buying the same jeans, the same exact brand of jeans since I was 13 years old.
They still
And I
make
have not-
jeans for that
Oh,
long?
yeah. They sure do. BDG at Urban Outfitters, bitches.
Oh,
Guess what? Dude, like, and I seriously have, like, pants that I've had for so long, and it's because of Doug, because he inspired me. Hey, man, closets can be hard. You know what's easy? When all your clothes are the same.
Yeah, I've been looking at tiny houses in Portland, and you don't have enough room for all your clothes.
Oh, no,
even
you
if you
Oh, you
live
don't.
simplistically, so if you're going in with a couple, maybe pick out the same outfit.
Oh, same
Because
outfit.
it's,
You
I
guys
know
just
it's
switch
creepy.
t-shirts. It's fine.
Yeah, easy peasy, no problem.
Whatever.
Same undies, same socks. Just switch them out. Good to go.
That's what my boyfriend and I do when we go to concerts. We're like, we don't need to both buy a Weezer
Yeah.
shirt. We
Yeah.
can just share it.
Oh, that's a really good $40. No, thank you. Not
No,
gonna do
exactly.
that. Yeah.
We bought one $40 Weezer shirt, and then we also got a free album with it, which was sick.
Nice.
Perfect buy. But now we just share the Weezer shirt. It's
There it
fine.
is.
There you go. Speaking of Sharon, Cat Dog. That was a good one for me.
Cat
That
Dog
one.
was so good.
Also, it was a scary one, kind of like, it was scary in the way where I'm like, I'm not going to not watch this, but I'm not going to watch it before I go to bed.
The thing
like
that
Angry
freaked
Beavers.
me out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Angry Beavers too, and the fucking remember was that little weird mouse guy. Was he Angry Beavers or Cat Dog?
Cat dog.
The
Yeah.
little
With
guy
the nose.
That
Yeah.
guy
The
freaked
the
me
blue
out.
one,
The blue
right?
one.
Yeah.
That guy freaked me out.
He's resurged in memes. Yeah, he's a good
Really?
one. Yeah, he
Oh,
walks
he
out of his little
ugly.
hole. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is a mouse.
Yeah.
He looks nothing like a
He
mouse.
looks
he does
nothing like a
not.
mouse. He looks more like an elephant, but without a trunk.
He looks
if
more
that
like
makes sense.
the cats in the new hit film Cats. Where it's like, what? What is this?
The first time I watched the Cats trailer, somebody was like, "Oh, dude, you have to watch this," and I was super distracted, and I didn't really give a shit, and I was like, "Oh yeah, they're cat, fine." I didn't realize that one of the reasons why everyone was so disturbed was because of the proportion size.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, "No, Whitney, go back and look at the proportions of the animals." And I got super high, and I was like, "Let's do this." And I went back and looked, and I was like, "This is horrifying. I
Yeah.
hate this so much."
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot wrong with
There's
the
a
cat,
lot
that
wrong
cat's
with
trailer.
cats.
Yeah,
There's
that
so
cat's
much
trailer.
Which they both make sense for that. Whatever. We talked about that before. There's plenty of
Alright.
videos out there, but you can go check those out. But I do want to read from the audience some of the favorites. But I wanted to give a quick shout out to the ones that don't get enough love. And I've been showing my nephews some
Yeah.
of those. Danny Phantom doesn't
Danny
get enough love.
Phantom.
Except for, this is a throwback. I want to know if anyone ever played this video game. It came out on PlayStation, and we had a PlayStation 2. You could team up with SpongeBob, Timmy Turner, Jimmy Neutron, and Danny Phantom,
Hell
and you could
yeah.
all go to each of their worlds, and all their villains from those shows. SpongeBob, I don't know. Plankton, that's who it was.
Plankton.
They all teamed up, and you crossed dimensions together, and you all had to explain, like, they didn't understand what each other were, and it was really cool. But anyways, I've been showing my nephews Danny Phantom and Hey Arnold, and they've been watching the Halloween episodes just on repeat
Oh,
now. I
yes.
came back, and they just still are watching.
Just
like,
the Halloween. There's
'cause
other
they're
episodes,
spooky.
guys.
Yeah, watch the Christmas one. It'll
Watch
make
the
you
Christmas
cry.
one.
No.
Yeah, the guy's looking for his daughter, and Hey Arnold gets you guys know what I'm talking
What?
about. It's a good
My favorite Hey Arnold episode is definitely the one where they all get stuck on the subway and they have to sing the song. And the grandma has to save them by climbing through the subway tunnels in a cat
she's a
suit.
badass.
The grandma's the best in
Yeah.
that show. She's seriously perfect.
You mentioned SpongeBob? What is all your relationships with SpongeBob? Because that was definitely
Oh,
past
yeah.
my time.
Oh no, I watched that.
I watched it
If
religiously.
you recorded it, Rugrats to VHS, that
That was
my
your
show.
SpongeBob?
SpongeBob
Hell
was
yeah.
my show, and I watched it So much so that I wrote a petition to my principal to let us watch it on like days off, to go like if I could bring my own VHS like copies or like DVD copies, we could watch it at the school. That's how much I love that.
I also feel like, since we're talking
That's
about
amazing.
Nickelodeon shows, part of what spawned this conversation is Rocko's Modern Life.
Yes.
It
Static Cling.
has a
Static
new
Cling.
45-minute special. And I've got to give a special shout out to Rocko's Modern Life because I don't think there's a show ever that has traumatized me more
Yes.
than Rocko's Modern
Good.
Life. And it probably won't be what you expect. There's
Do you
an
want to know
episode.
why? Because they used to allow nipples in Rocko's Modern Life. Every character had exposed nipples, and
No.
it freaked us out as
No,
kids.
no, no.
It freaked
No,
us
no,
out.
no. Here's-
Nowadays,
no. What-
no
here's-
nipples in shows. Don't scare kids anymore.
Don't scare. No, here's what got me. Here's what got me. And it's been on my mind because the Rocko's Modern Life thing came up. There's an episode where Heifer goes to hell or is in purgatory or something, and
I
he's
just
on.
watched
It's
this
like
one the other day.
it's a game show, and this guy in the hood, right? Is he
Yes.
Death or is he the devil?
He is like he's like the Grim Reaper type
Okay,
kind of thing.
so he has a moment where he's like, "If you don't do blah, 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 you'll be here for eternity." And for some reason, a little light switch in my brain went off of like, eternity. And it fucked me. Trying to conceive of just time and eternity and death, and that
and
was
being there.
That was
where there's a big old sign that says "Welcome to Hell," but the hell is crossed out and it says "Heck" because it's a cartoon.
because it's a cartoon. And so to
pretty
this
good.
day, there'll
Getting
be
stuck in that place.
moments where it'll be like, death, and it stems back to that moment as a child where like. What death means as a person, that specific episode of Rocko's
Eternity.
Modern Life
Gotcha.
still haunts me.
Speaking of stuff that messed me up, shout out to SpongeBob. It was an episode where they're going to Glove World, which was
Yes.
a theme park.
Yes.
And it's just fucking gloves everywhere. But he doesn't make it. He ends up he falls down in a trench, and he's waiting for the bus to come. And everything's dark because it's a trench. And as a kid, I think that's 100% why I never played outside after dark. I'm like, you think I'm going to go outside? I'm going to miss the bus home. I'm never going to make it back. My parents are going to forget about me. I'm never going to go home.
Yeah.
Nothing scary happens in the episode specifically, except every time SpongeBob turns around waiting for the bus comes and leaves. So
Yeah.
he never is able to leave there until the very end, where someone comes and gets him. But that part, I don't remember the resolution of that episode.
Yeah.
I only remember the middle part where he
just
is
remember
trapped
having the
down
shit
there.
scared
And
out
it's
of you.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny.
okay.
Like those adult. I think it's like when those adults are making those cartoons. Like they're probably sitting there going like, "Yeah, the nipples, edgy," and it's the stuff that they don't think about. That as a kid, like, it's that realization of like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, no,
They
the
do think about that though, because like I don't know. Well, okay, so another thing, because I'm just this huge Rocko's nerd.
Yeah.
But when I went to their Comic-Con panel like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and they were talking about how like literally all of the voice actors are still friends. They
Yeah.
still
Oh, that's
all
cute.
get together. They were talking about how they go to House of Pies a lot in Los Feliz.
Nice.
So they like
Great
get
place.
together and they just have a pie.
Yeah.
And like they were saying like, yeah, dude, like it's been like a decade or whatever, like 2 decades now, Jesus Christ. But like they were saying like, yeah, like we still like get together, we still are friends.
Yeah.
And then one day, Nickelodeon came and they were like, let's do this show. And all of them, I know for a fact, they were like, yeah, let's make this exactly as fucking awesome. We all still love each other. We all still love this show. It was such like a positive panel where every single person was like on board and like down to make it the best. And I know that they do put a lot of thought into that writing, because the whole point of a show like Rocko's Modern Life that does scare the shit out of you is that it's supposed to, because it's a cartoon. And at least in a cartoon, it's a more palatable way
Yeah.
to think about, oh shit, I'm in heck for eternity with
Yeah,
Heifer.
yeah.
That's like more palatable than like, I don't know, your grandpa dying and your mom is like, well, you have to go to the funeral, kid. Don't be rude. But you're 7 and you're like, I don't want to be here.
You don't know how to
Like,
process
You don't
it.
know how to
Yeah.
process that. And so you watch shows like Rocko where they are very deliberate and they are very smart with their writing, and they do make those choices to like make it something that helps you grow as a person, which
Yeah.
is fucking great. I'm a diehard Rocko
Well,
fan, y'all.
Static Cling was something that was like, it was on, and I saw the runtime for it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely
Oh, yeah,
check this
duh.
out. 45 minutes, no
Knock
problem.
it
The
out.
Invader Zim Enter the Florpus is an hour and 11 minutes,
Yes.
so it's like a little longer. But
I
I'm
don't
like,
care. I'm into it. I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
I watched Invader Zim as a kid, but nothing, like stuck in your brain really. You got like, there's like flashes that go by.
I
but-
watched Invader Zim as a kid. religiously. I had the DVDs. I brought them to every sleepover. Nobody ever wanted to watch them with me. They were like, "You're that weird kid who's kind of a goth, but you're 10. I don't like that."
But I rewatched it as an adult, and like when I was sick, and it's easy to get to their 15-minute episodes.
They're
no problem.
and they're so funny. And it's like the darkest, most fucked up show. That show freaks me out. A Room with a Moose. That was my like eternity.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode?
Was that the one where the bus circles? Yeah,
where the bus is, and they're stuck on this bus, and they just keep watching the same kid with the dog outside the bus go by, and they're trapped. Oh God, it's fun. That episode is crazy. Like that's a. Oh, man.
That was one that stuck with me. Also, the Christmas episode with the Santa.
Yes.
That one's a great where he builds a Santa, but like for some reason it keeps getting bigger and stronger, and every year now society has built metal cities so that the Santa can't get in from space. And it's so fucking funny.
It's
but
ridiculous.
it's because it's just this like 300-foot tall Santa who comes down and is trying to get the children's toys or something. Like I don't fucking remember anymore.
Sure.
But for Static Cling, I like that it came back and it was a cool look at. The creators were able to look at fan culture and the things that fans demand, and are able to show you that like, yeah, you don't know what you want. You're not going to have the same thing that you liked before, and you need to grow with the times like we are. And the way of introducing like a transgender character, I thought they actually did a really good job. And also they did a good job where it's like our main characters can be on board with this, but then other people can't, and you can see them grow and change. Yeah, you can see them
grow and change with that. And then also at the same time, it's like Rocco was totally cool with Rachel, but Rocco was not cool with the fatheads changing.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because it seems it's so human in that way to be like, yeah, you can still be cool with this, but don't you fuck up my show, you know? Like, because people are really like that. Like that's like what people are actually like, and it's funny. It was a great juxtaposition. I thought it was just such a great commentary on like fan culture and also just like the way that people are nowadays, where nothing is ever good enough. Nothing will ever satisfy you. Like we'll remake the fatheads for you, Rocco.
No.
Oh, we're giving you this thing that you want more than anything, but we're gonna do it our way. Fuck that. Like it's so accurate. It was so good.
When you get into like the fan culture stuff with internet and the Twitter and the Twitter with Twitter and all that stuff, it's like you feel like there should be this consensus, but it's like. No, because people are going to have different feelings. So this idea that we should all be on board with a thing, it's like, that's not how things work.
It's not how shit works.
And also, maybe sometimes people's opinions don't matter.
By the way,
maybe they just don't. Like, maybe they don't.
By the way, did you ever see the Hey Arnold movie that came out recently? Not the one that was in theaters. Little Bow Wow did an original song
Dude,
for.
I remember the Little Bow Wow one.
Not to be confused with. Or the Doug movie.
Little Bow Wow, you just don't know the way you move so fast across the flow. I mean, you run through my mind.
I just made him watch Tokyo Drift.
To the point when I just want to take you
wow,
home.
you really remember Bow Wow music.
Little Bow Wow, okay?
Wait, Little Bow Wow, and I have to apologize. Little Bow Wow was the artist. Little Romeo did the song for
Oh no!
Hey Arnold. I feel so bad.
It was Little Romeo?
Little Romeo. Let's see what you're up to.
Because Bow Wow was in Like Mike, right? That
Like
was
Mike,
Bow
yes.
Wow. That was Little Bow Wow.
Morris Chestnut.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
But did you see the Hey Arnold movie that came out with Jungle Love or something
No,
like
dude,
that?
I never saw the Jungle one.
Check it out.
Because that's the one where he goes to find his parents, right?
Yeah, and it was a really sweet moment where they almost tried to pull like an Inception, like, wait, is this real at the end? Where I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Whoa, what the fuck? Like, because it gets a little, not supernatural, but like larger than life. And you're like, there's a chance this isn't actually happening right now, but it is because it's in a cartoon. You can do whatever you want, but at the end, they kind of like lean into that a little bit. And you're like, whoa, don't make me fucking question my reality.
Don't make me question reality, Hey Arnold.
Is this show real? Like, what's
your
real?
Head actually football.
They do talk about that.
Let's make a live cast Hey Arnold where we just stretch some poor fucker's head.
Well, we have the CG technology to do it.
They are doing a Rugrats live action movie, or that was the thing that was floated a while ago.
I'm not okay with that ever at all for any fucking reason.
Let's not get into those weeds. What do they have to say on the Discord?
Well, you know what? We got a lot of love for Avatar: The Last Airbender from Sergeant Cool Beans.
Yes,
Thank you for
course.
serving. Yeah. Best cartoon ever, I'm sure many will agree. And one, what is that? Oh, should be aware of is Legend of Korra. I know it's a cop-out to say to a sequel series, but it does an amazing job of world building and building on what Avatar: The Last Airbender created. I think it's underrated in what it achieved 100%. It got 4 seasons.
And actually, y'all, and it also has a board game too, which is actually pretty fun. Yes, because we just spent like 6 months of our lives, my co-host Chris just did every possible video you could ever possibly make about Avatar and Korra.
Wow.
And so one of our things that we're going to do eventually, we got the board game, and so we want to do that on our podcast sometime and just force someone to play Legend of Korra board game.
I will
play with you.
play.
Yeah,
Dude,
I'll play with you.
Dude, fucking come on my show. Play the board
Legend
game.
of Korra
It'll be great.
is kind of one of my go-tos for doing a sequel right. It's one of my examples, like when I try to like articulate why I don't think the Star Wars sequels work, the new ones. It's like you look at what Korra did, and it's like it's building. It's not regurgitating what you got. It's building off of that, but while still maintaining. One thing Avatar and Legend of Korra do a really good job of is staying within their rule book and just picking out every detail of like, well, if you could do this, if you could manipulate water, what does that mean for ice or the water in your body or the you know what I mean? And not like, it's not like suddenly somebody comes out of nowhere and it's like, I can bend the light around and make light beams. It's they use their established rules and in interesting and fascinating
Also,
ways.
they do a good job of saying, like, hey, sometimes the characters you liked when they were kids grew up and they made a bunch of mistakes. And we know that Aang probably wasn't a great dad.
It wasn't necessarily a bad dad.
No, but he
made
probably,
mistakes.
you
Riley was
want him to
perfect.
be better than what we find out that Tenzin... J.K., how'd you get, now knowing J.K. Simmons, you're like, how the fuck did you get him for 4 seasons on that show? Like, he well-known history with voice acting, and he still does it to this day.
Yeah.
But still, you're like, he was a main character on that show.
He
Good for
sure
him.
was.
Pino says, best cartoons, Avatar, Rugrats, Ed, Ed and Eddie, Teen Titans, Codename, Kid Next Door. Never watched that, but that was always, like, in my
I
brain.
had to watch that show, and it was when I wasn't a huge fan of it, but maybe it's because I wasn't like a child, because I watched it for the first time like 3 months ago as an adult, and it just wasn't. I don't know, it just wasn't up to my speed, you know. But like, I feel like I probably would have liked it if I was a kid. I can't get into it.
By the
now.
way, shout out to that Teen Titans cartoon, the original one. Also, shout out to Justice League.
The
Justice League
OG
Unlimited.
Teen Titans was so good.
Cool. I watched that
love
recently.
that Teen Titans Go knows that.
Yeah.
I fucking love, because I've had to watch both series, because this is what they do. They literally, it's like a Clockwork Orange over at Nerdwire, where they hold my eyeballs open and they go, you can't leave until you've seen every episode of Teen Titans Go, whether you fucking like it or not. And I have to do it. They give me lots of drugs. It's great. I smoke so much weed at that office. But
Yay, the
I
perks
just-
they never talk about.
the perks that they never talk about in the writer's room. It's like, yeah, sure, the 80s had a ton of cocaine in the writer's room, but now weed is legal.
Yeah.
And my whole job is watch cartoons and eat snacks. So
And
fuck
it's
it.
way less hard. It's way less hard on your heart.
It just is so much,
Way
it's so
less
much
hard
less
on your heart.
stressful.
Yeah.
Listen, cocaine's not good. Nobody do cocaine on this.
That,
None of
if
you guys.
anything,
Don't do
to
it.
take away from today, besides the cartoon talk,
It's just don't do cocaine.
Don't do cocaine.
Just don't do cocaine. But if you have to watch Teen Titans Go, the best part of it is that they are constantly making fun of the fact that the other show was so much better. They are so aware that their show sucks, and it's awesome. It's actually very cool.
Their movie was very good.
The movie was extremely good.
I super dug it. Like, it was the most self-aware movie I've ever seen.
It was so fucking good. And it was, dude, I loved the movie. I loved the ending that we might get the OG Titans back. And I don't know, man. So good.
They were teasing like a Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go movie that was a straight to like VOD or something. I don't remember if it came out, but I remember there was talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's out
if
yet.
it did, I would have
you
been forced
sorry
to watch it
I
already.
should watch what I say. You would know. But also, Pino says shows you should be aware of. Chalk Zone 16 with the number 6.
Oh, 16, dude!
I've never
had
heard
to
of that before.
I had to fucking watch every episode of that show. It's a Canadian TV series.
Oh, those don't count.
Yeah, but it's actually like an incredibly progressive show. It was like on when we were kids, but there's like gay characters. Like
Oh,
it's
wow.
like it's actually this super fucking dope progressive show. And 16. What I did with them recently was we did like a joint campaign thing that they basically did a fucking like fuck Trump commercial where they brought the show back to do an episode that is all about voting
in Canada?
Voting responsibly, because Americans watch it obviously. So, and Canada did this because they're like, you poor Americans, let us help you. So they literally brought the show back just to do a fuck Trump episode, and it's like really educational about like responsible voting and how like your vote matters, and here's what you should do. Here's the senators you should call if you have a problem with this. And like you see the characters like going through it, and the characters are like, because they're not 16 anymore, because now they brought the show back, so they're obviously like 18 and can vote now. And so they're all talking about like, oh yeah, like, well, what if this and that, blah blah blah, and then they're like, no, don't be a racist.
But
it's
what
great.
about her
Like,
emails?
but what about her emails?
What
No,
about her
exactly.
email?
Like they fucking like address weird shit like that, and they never outright say Trump, but it's Trump.
You get it.
You get it.
Then also getting some love for My Life as a Teenage Robot, which I really dug that. I love the art style.
I
on
never
that.
watched that.
And, ooh. I'm based on what the stuff you
Sell me.
watched.
Sell me.
I mean,
Tell me
come
about
on,
it.
It's a coming of age story where we've got a teenage girl who fights giant robots and giant monsters from space, but at the
come
same
on, that
time,
sounds awesome.
what is she going to wear to prom? No, they never deal with that. But it's like they actually do a really good job where it's like she was just trying to be a human being and doing it through the like lens of pop culture, and they analyze it in a really fun way. Also,
that's cool.
the art styles from the same people who did Dexter's Laboratory, but
Nice.
with even
Ooh.
more style to it.
Yeah.
And all the villains are interesting, and it was really short run. So
Was
you
this Cartoon Network?
that was Nickelodeon.
This was Nickelodeon,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I missed it.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's a
man.
solid one. Best theme song that tied with Danny Phantom.
Oh, Danny Phantom has the best theme song.
Well, he's
So
just
good.
14.
But
I know the whole damn thing.
sing it for
we
me
did
now.
no, we did a run. We
I
did
don't
a,
want to get dinged again.
Can we just do like a Patreon video, like a secret one, where you just sing me the theme song and then we just give it to certain people?
yeah.
I'll go
If
get
you
some
donate
hair dye.
$500 right now,
Yeah.
Sam will just sing it for me, and we'll release a video for you.
Here's the number.
Somebody pay $500,
Please.
please.
By the way, as we're
Please.
talking about favorite cartoons, I just gotta say, Spectacular Spider-Man, fuck all the Tom Holland shit, fuck Amazing Spider-Man, fuck every other Spider-Man
I'm
cartoon.
so happy I'm talking to you. You have the wildest opinions. I don't think I've ever talked to someone like you. I am digging this conversation so much.
You know, Sam knows I'm ride or die Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Dude,
but
I really am too.
But the best adaptation of Spider-Man outside of the comics is Spectacular Spider-Man. It is so good.
Well, it's Greg Weisman
of
who
course,
worked on Young Justice.
and
Yes.
Gargoyles, and
Yeah.
he was on one of those Star Wars shows for a minute. But it only ran for 2 seasons, unfortunately. But it's just the best. It's the best distillation of the character, what he represents, his supporting cast. I think a lot of the movies, the recent Tom Holland movies, picked up like by focusing on his classmates. I think they picked that up from Spectacular Spider-Man.
So you hate Tom Holland Spider-Man?
No. I'm just saying it doesn't compare to Spectacular
Oh,
Spider-Man.
okay. Well, you said fuck Tom Holland. I thought I was good. I thought I was talking to someone for the first time who hated Tom Holland Spider-Man, and that's why I was like, "Who are you?"
I'm just saying.
You're a
I
very
think-
interesting person,
I think
sir.
he does. I think he does
Be
a
my
good
friend.
job. I'm just saying. The best adaptation of Spider-Man outside of the comics is Spectacular Spider-Man.
There you
Just as
go.
we're talking about cartoons, I got to throw that out. there.
As we're winding down, I want to give a shout to Reggie J427, giving a shout to Over the Garden Wall, which I've seen a clip of it, and boy howdy, that's a weird one, but it looks way up my alley.
I got yelled at on Monday on my podcast by John Pericello, who used to work for Animation Investigation at Nerdist.
Oh, cool.
He was on my show on Monday, and he fucking screamed at me for, well, not really, he's a very nice person, but he got as mad as you can be to a stranger on a podcast that I hadn't seen it, and now I really want to watch it. He totally sold me on that show. It sounds awesome.
It's bananas.
Dude, it sounds fucking crazy, and it sounds like I'd like it.
100%. We tried to show it to nephews. They got really scared really fast. So for adults, maybe you might have the stones for it. We'll
So you
have to
just
see.
passed. I don't know who it was. Somebody posted regular show, which is fine. Regular show's
Regular
good.
show is so good. I love them.
But
I have a
I
friend
gotta
who
say,
worked on it.
I gotta
It's so
say,
good.
Adventure Time.
Oh,
Like, come
Adventure
on,
Time, of
Adventure
course.
Time is
Of course.
mind blowing. So good.
Whenever-
I will say this is. I've tried to watch that show a bunch, and a lot of the stuff I do like, but none of it has grabbed my attention. Could be I'm not the target audience for that show,
That is possible.
but it is very cool looking.
It gets
Yeah.
a lot better if you do a lot of edibles and and someone is paying you to watch it.
There you go.
That part.
is
The edibles
great.
could be fun, but the money part
The money
is cool
part,
because
yeah.
you could buy edibles.
Because you could buy
or
edibles
rent.
or rent, or you could like make your rent by watching Adventure Time, which is what I do.
There you go. And then finally, I want to give a quick shout from Terry Fournier up in Canada, my dude, giving a shout out to Disney's Gargoyles.
Yes.
We're getting a live action adaptation of that. Hold off on Lady and the Tramp. I already know you made the movie.
Yeah.
Let's go to Gargoyles, and
Yeah,
you'll get
please.
that dark and gritty stuff that you get from the Marvel movies that's been working so well. As dark and gritty as that.
Yeah.
Listen,
As
we need
mass
more dark and
genocide
gritty me
get.
because otherwise I think DJ might die.
There you go.
He needs the darkest. He needs the grittiest.
They wear their capes are their wings. Their capes are their little fingers hold together the wings.
There's a castle on top of a skyscraper.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Do they turn to stone?
During the day.
They do during the day. They turn to
Yeah.
stone.
And they're all gone. They're
And
all
they gotta
gone
get a
except
cool.
the
They gotta get a
six.
cool pose because otherwise you're fucked. If you're
You're
like picking your
screwed.
nose when the sun comes up.
And God forbid you're like flying when it happens.
Oh no, because then
that
you
happen?
just die.
And then you crash and
Crash
your
and
stone
die.
breaks.
Gotta
Not
land
a-
on something.
Not a cartoon. Did you guys watch Night at the Museum? Because it's similar rules. You're outside the
seen,
museum when the sun comes up. You turn to dust, and then
I'm going to be candid with you, Sam. I think I prefer Night of Museum 2 at the Smithsonian because that had Jonah Hill and it had Bill Hader.
who was Joan? Who are they?
Jonah Hill was a security guard. Bill Hader, I think, was famous for retreating Custer.
Oh, really? He was
Yeah.
Custer?
Yeah, something like that.
Shit.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember John.
They should
John
have just
Bernthal
gotten Owen
played
Wilson to do it
Al
because he
Capone.
was so good in doing the Custer jokes in Tenenbaums.
Oh, Owen
Oh,
Wilson was
yeah.
already playing the little cowboy.
I
Yeah.
know he was.
He's
He
already
was the
playing
tiny.
the little
He was already a
play,
tiny
too.
guy. He can't be both.
He
You're
can't
right. He
be
can't
Has
be
both.
anybody seen the third Night of the Museum movie?
Yes.
I did.
I've
How is
seen
it?
it every night at the
Oh, okay.
museum. I've been at the museum for exactly 3 nights personally.
All right, fair
Whoa.
enough. Fair enough.
I love that movie. Actually, I wouldn't mind if it's on Netflix soon to watch the first one again because that was magical. Ben Stiller, one of his best
That
ones
director was
besides
supposed to do
Tropic Thunder.
That director was supposed to do a Flash movie.
Oh,
It
really?
never happened.
Which
What
one?
happened?
Who's that one?
I don't remember the director's name, but it was.
Let's call him.
Yeah, let's call him up like, hey
Call him
man,
and be
what
like,
happened?
hey man, what happened with that Flash
Yeah.
movie?
Please,
Also,
somebody
Danny
do
Boy
it.
in the chat. If you want to watch us do this show live on Fridays, you can check us out at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. And Danny Boy brought up Thundercats, which was another show I watched as a
Thundercats
young
go!
person. I thought it was really cool to introduce because you had the main 5 Thundercats, and then later there's like, oh, here's 3 more, and they were like different. They were like,
Whoa,
Even
hold
more
on.
yeah,
Thundercats.
and they're
They
different
went to
cats.
the Thunder Pound and they adopted 3 more
Yeah,
stray
yeah,
Thundercats.
Yeah, and they were like 3 different. They were like one was a
Oh,
lynx
no.
and one was a puma, and then one was a white tiger, which was like, cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sean Levy, he did all 3 Night at the Museums, or at least
Oh.
1.
Well, thank you,
and
Sean, for
3.
providing us with endless museum entertainment.
Please and thank you. Also, he worked on Stranger Things.
Yeah, I think he's the main guy on Stranger Things. Yeah.
Besides the
Yeah,
the Bros.
The Duffers.
The bros.
There you
Duffer
go.
The
Bros.
Duffers knew him, and he made it happen. Yeah.
Whitney, where can
Yes.
people find you?
Where can
Yes.
people find me? Oh man, well just really the internet. I have a YouTube channel called Nerdwire. Go check that out. We're Nerdwire HQ on Twitter, and also on Instagram, I think. And then my personal stuff is at Whitney Puppy.
There you go. Easy,
go.
easy to say. Also, any local WB stores where they're selling Animaniacs or Gremlins toys.
Give them
you'll
to
find
me.
right there. Oh, we're getting a Gremlins animated series. Speaking of cartoons, that's
Yes.
coming to the WB app.
Dude,
HBO Max. Oh my god, it's too much. There's so many shows.
too many shows.
Gargoyles live action show coming to Disney Plus. Pitching it now.
Yeah.
D23 is very soon. Let's see what happens. DJ, where can people find you?
DJ talks trash every place that matters. Sam.
At Sam Basher. And also, if you're listening live, we might be recording some extra stuff today. Again, check out patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. You're missing out on a lot. And I don't want you to. I don't want you
Sam's
to
gonna
be in the
sing
dark.
theme songs for me.
Danny Franthony is just like his parents. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Because the rest is going to be on Patreon. We'll see you guys very soon. Make sure you subscribe to Only Stupid Answers on YouTube. Until then, drink water, damn it. None of you were doing it. Bye.
Hydrate.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo, Danny Phantom, he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. He was designed to view a world unseen. He's got to get your ball because he's Danny Phantom. When he folks just like quit. And Danny took a look inside of it. It was a great big flash. Everything just changed. His molecules got all rearranged. Phantom, when he just woke up, he realized he has glow right here and glowing green eyes. He could walk through walls, disappear, and fly. He was much more unique than the other guy. It was then that he knew what he had to do. He had to stop all the ghosts he was coming through. He's here to fight for me and you. He's gonna catch them all. He's Danny Phantom. He's gonna catch a ball because he's Danny Phantom. He's gotta catch a ball because he's Danny Phantom. I may have
is
missed
there
a.
really? You
I
gotta catch
just
them
want
all
you to
in
know
there?
that
Gotta
the
catch 'em all
next
'cause
time I'm
he's-
sad, that's gonna be my Patronus thought.
Thank you. Me
That's
with my
gonna-
eyes closed.
You just,
If you see me driving, I will be doing the same thing at stoplights. No shit. Hold on, I'm gonna go back. I know all the lyrics, but gang, it's getting hot in here. The air conditioning's off, and this is basically an oven. So we're gonna go turn on the air conditioner, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
Bye bye.
Bye.